One of the important terms that I use is called Siv-Lei, or something that can be understood within a tetragram, the Siv-Lei tetragram. So I will put a link in the description here to show this graph. But just an introductory way of explaining it is, in order to understand self over the years, there's been clear divisions made of authentic self versus something that is mirrored or altered to attempt to fit the needs or specifications of the environment. So you learn these sorts of things from very, very young, and there is this self that is coming up completely independently in a certain sense, but also society around it. And then there's this interplay between LEI, which is the inside, and SIV, which is the outside, or at least what is experienced as that. In the end, all dualities collapse, but these are the dualities in a pair of dualities. So the first one is Siv, or SIVS, which is the outside's outside. SIVS refers to the main storyline of each of us, sometimes called the real world or physical matter reality. This is the surface level collective storyline of humanity. SIVS is not the domain of Mythological Center, and Mythological Center is what I'm reading from right now and what I will be linking to. So SIVS is the thing outside of yourself. It's the mainstream story that's going on. And ultimately this is, in a certain sense, all in your head, because it's all in the way that you perceive it. All of these things are just in the way you perceive them. But it's the thing that everybody knows, or the thing that you assume that everybody knows. It's the assumed game. That's SIVS. So if you're seeing social limitation in your life and go, well, you know, death and taxes, everything is true, but or everything is false, everything could fall away, but the two things that are certain are death and taxes. That's one version of people's understanding of SIVS. Now, on the absolute opposite part of that is LEIL. So that's the inside's inside. LEIL is also called LEIL. LEIL refers to the world of personal mythology. This is the main territory of the Mythological Center and is, at this time at least, the most appropriate content. These personal mythologies are based in reality frames entirely separate from each of us, and are likely only connected by the basic patterns of existence. LEIL is the crux of high fantasy. So the point of Mythological Center is to explain the senthet, these versions of self, in mythological language. So it gives a narrative to the science of what we're finding out. And narrative and science grow up together. There's not really one that's more important than the other. If there's an advancement made in one, the other one will probably have to not necessarily adjust, but certainly reference the other and look to see if there is a direct correlation, isomorphic correlation between their two movements, because these things can happen. When understanding more of the narrative, you understand more of the science, and understanding more of the science, you understand more of the narrative. These are the kinds of realms that we're looking at, contemplating on, and writing on. So within Mythological Center, these things that I'll read are about adding content to this page. Now, within or between SIVS and LEIL, SIVS being the outside's outside and LEIL being the inside's inside, there are two more categories. So we have Siv-Lei, which is the outside's inside. SIVL, Siv-Lei, refers to collective esoteric traditions. For an example, an article on hermetic alchemy using already established terms from an existing system would most likely be considered SIVL. It is possible that references may be made to SIVL topics on this wiki, but it is not the main purpose for it. So, all right, SIVL is seen as the outside world being translated into the inside world. So this is sometimes intuitive readings that you can make in the real world, perhaps. And it's patterns you see in the real world, along with esoteric systems in the real world, or notions like the Illuminati or a secret society, or just a clique that knows something that other people don't. Still affecting mainstream society, but it's not something that everybody knows. Maybe they're running by different rules, more advantageous perhaps, but mysterious nonetheless. That's Siv-Lei, SIVL. The last one here is LEIS or LEIS, which is the insides outside. LEIS refers to personal semblance, or how an individual or dividual prevents themselves to the world. There is some correlation between this concept and the concept of role function with socionics. Certainly, a good example of LEIS is a social media profile or a professional portfolio. LEIS is also a mask, or a disguise, or a uniform, or something that you put on to, like, sometimes it's belong to a group, or if you're doing something more experimental, to infiltrate a group. This is the realm of social fiction, and especially that which is put on by the individual. So the difference between LEIS and LEIL is really who I am. If I bring forth my authentic self, 100% LEIL. But if I put on a uniform to play on my team, and that uniform isn't within me, like I don't really belong to that, but I put it on anyway to get along with this group, that's more moving into LEIS. However, LEIS and LEIL are a duality, so they can be collapsed, meaning what you really feel on the inside comes out on the outside 100%. That is a super important thing, but start with the parts. We start with acknowledging the dualities as they are before we go to trying to balance it and control it. So that is an introduction on the Siv-Lei tetragram. Again, there will be a link to this in the description. If you're interested, subscribe. If you're interested, comment. Thank you for watching.